So just tell us your name and where you are right now.
My name is Christine Figgener, and I'm right now in Texas because that is where I went to school for my PhD in marine biology. I was going to move for a new job, and I'm stranded right now.
So where did you go to school?
Texas A&M University in College Station. No, College Station, main campus. I graduated in December. So that has been a long journey of 5.5 years, and I'm happy it's over.
I'm sure you are. It's a lot of work to do that. But let's talk about your education since we've already started. Where did you go to school for your undergraduate degree, and what did you major in? And then did you get a master's before your PhD?
Yeah. So as you might be able to tell from my accent, I'm not US American. I'm actually German. So I was born and raised in Germany, and that's also where I got my undergrad degree at University of Tübingen, which is in the south, close to Stuttgart. And then I also got a master's degree at University of Würzburg, which is also in the south, in behavioral physiology and animal ecology. And then I went to Costa Rica for many years, started working with sea turtles, and eventually I started my PhD on the research topic of sea turtles.
That's great. So Germany to the United States. How did you end up in the United States?
Yeah, so while I was working in Costa Rica, a lot of stuff happened. And eventually I think I came to realize that given that I'm a woman and I'm a foreigner in that country, I needed some other leverage to kind of, be taken serious, as sad as it sounds, as a scientist. And so even though I really didn't want to go for my PhD, I decided that might be the only way of how I can get my independence as a scientist. And so I started talking to people in the sea turtle community about potential supervisors, and I came across Dr. Plotkin, who had been working herself in Costa Rica many years ago. And I wrote her a letter kind of detailing of what I was interested in doing in Costa Rica, and if she would be okay with me doing it and interested in working with me, and she was. And so I moved to Texas for at least half of the year, and the other half I spent in Costa Rica doing my research.
So you graduated and you said you were about to go to another job. Where are you headed?
So about 5 years ago, when I was conducting research for my PhD, my research team and I came across a turtle that has straw stuck in its nose. And I filmed that video, and it became rather viral. Pretty much. And it has given me a huge platform to talk about the threat of plastic pollution to sea turtles. And so I've become a little bit more active in that sense, especially in the United States. And so about a year ago, I was approached by a company that is developing a technique to use a recycled paper fiber to replace plastic packaging. And they are interested of having a foundation, a nonprofit, that is actually educating the broader public about the issue of plastic pollution, how it relates to issues that we have with the environment, and also how it's kind of circled back to the human health. And they had asked me after I graduated if I'm interested of leading that foundation, which was a huge deal. So because the big thing was for me that they are actually at the same time going to support my work in Costa Rica as well. So my nonprofit that I have in Costa Rica, they're going to give me funds for that as well, and the time to also work in Costa Rica. So it was everything I have ever dreamed of. I would have relocated to Arizona, where they're located this week. I would actually be right now getting into Arizona today. And then I would have spent half a year in Arizona, half a year in Costa Rica.
So you talked about being in Costa Rica, you grew up in Germany, you found yourself in Texas, you're headed to Arizona. A lot of people that go into marine biology end up doing internships and other jobs along the way in order to get experience. Is that the same experience for you?
Yeah, although I think as a German, just how the system, like how we're funded as students, for example, works, just having studied in the US and having studied in Germany, I mean, it's a totally different world. I don't know how people finance having such nice apartments and cars and everything. In Germany, everything, as a student, you live way below the poverty line, and you're okay with that because usually where you study there is ways of, as a student, to kind of, you know, wiggle your way through the whole thing. But that also meant for me as internships, I needed to find things where I had to pay literally no money, or at least only the flight to get to the place. So first internship I did was really great. I went to Egypt with my undergrad university, which was incredible. It was subsidized, so it was very little money for an incredible experience in the Red Sea. We did some diving and some research projects as well. And then when I started my master's, that was actually the first time that I went to Costa Rica, because they were looking for research assistants, room and board paid for, and I only had to pay my flight. But I went there for about 4 to 5 months with the nesting season, and that is pretty much how I got my first job, because people there liked it so much, the way I work. I guess I am a hard worker. I'm having good work ethics. And my boss said, you know, why don't you come back and start working for me? And I was like, dude, I need to finish my master's thesis first. He's like, well, why don't you do it here? So that was the first thing. So I went back to Germany, and it was like, you know, this idea kind of got stuck in my head. And I was able to convince a professor that actually worked on ants that I really want to and need to work with sea turtles. And he was a geneticist, so we kind of developed a project for a paternity assay on leatherback turtles in Costa Rica. But the only thing she said was like, you know what, I'm happy to support you, but with the funding situation, you're kind of like on your own. Anything that I already have in the lab, any kind of chemicals that you might need for like a PCR or whatever, I'm happy to, you know, you can use it, but anything that is beyond that, you need to find your own funding. I know that I'm a very stubborn person, so I just kind of set out and like looked around, and I got the money together. I got an actually really nice scholarship from the German Academic Exchange Program, DAAD. And so I went to Costa Rica for 9 months and did my work there, then exported the samples, went back to Germany, analyzed the samples, packed up everything, and moved to Costa Rica and started working.
That's quite an adventure. I know that in the United States, your experience and mine with grad students having money is very different. I have yet to find anybody that's had money to do what they do. We just take incredible loans, and that's how we survive. Marine biology is difficult.
The thing is, so I'm on the side of a nonprofit right now, and we're operating with, like, I'm not even getting a salary from it. So I'm just making sure my local workers are getting a salary, and they will always have priority about everyone else, because these are the people that are keeping the project running. These are the people that have the experience that I need. It doesn't matter if they have a college degree or not, but these are the people doing the hard work. So if I see some, you know, bachelor people that just are fresh out of college demanding to get paid by a nonprofit, it just infuriates me a little bit, because it just shows the ignorance of the system and how little money we actually have. Plus, even if I cover somebody's food, that is pretty much the equivalent of a salary. So if I would pay you a salary and cover your food, you would actually get paid more than my local workers, which is not fair. And you can also not go somewhere in a developing country and expect you're getting the same salary as in the United States. That's the other thing. You know, if you want to work elsewhere, then you need to get comfortable with the idea that you're getting paid a local salary and not a US salary.
Our field does not have the money, and I think going into our field, we could create a platform where people can go look and say, all right, I know what I'm getting myself into, and get these internships while they're undergraduates as well, and they don't realize they need to do that.